All right, let's check on some sinkholes here.
Since the beginning of time, man has yearned to destroy the sun. I will do the next best thing. Block it out.
Climate change. Climate change.
Mass extinction.
Now you are cooking.
Can I get 2 hamburgers?
Yes, sir.
With french fries?
Yes, sir.
What about an omelet?
Sure. Got a couple eggs.
I like food good.
This is coming from abc.net.au. Welcome to Sinkhole Village. Turkey's mysterious craters are swallowing up fertile farming land in the nation's breadbasket. The gaping pit next to Mustafa Akar's shed measured approximately 7 meters across and seemed to appear out of nowhere one afternoon.
Oh, just the size of 2 of those drones, those miniature drones.
Yes, the mini bots.
The mini bots.
The size of 2 tunnel drilling mini bots. Mm-hmm. Only hours earlier, he had been sitting in that exact spot, cooling off in the shade after a hard day's work on his farm, tending to his flock. Peering down over the edge into the darkness, he noticed the pit had a distinct cylindrical shape, as if it were cut with an enormous machine. I was just going to mention that. Quote, I was in a daze for a month after that, Mr. Akar said. The farmer from Turkey's Konya province now avoids walking on his property at night for fear he might trip and fall to his death. Oh, no. Across the plateau, farmers and townsfolk have reported similar occurrences, strange holes appearing without notice and seemingly at random. All told, scientists have counted approximately 2,500 sinkholes around the Konya Basin, a sprawling plain in the country's agricultural heartland. About 700 of those are deep pits, mostly concentrated around the town of Karapnar, according to the Fethullah Arik, which leads sinkhole research at Konya Technical University. Well, that's convenient. They have a sinkhole research department at the university right next door.
It happens enough.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're tipped off on the CERN experiments, the robots underground.
Yeah. He says the number of sinkholes in the area has sharply risen in the past decade. Yeah. One sinkhole in 10 years would be a sharp rise in 0 sinkholes, not 2,500. Every day, Professor Arik and his team of researchers scour the countryside to log and measure new sinkholes. Some extend dozens of meters below the surface, others are shallow recesses. Some appear in paddocks, some in cornfields, other near village streets. Many are too deep for sunlight to reach the bottom. Oof. All of them bear the same telltale cylindrical shape leading downward to murky depths. Quote, the sinkholes are geologically beautiful, but human lives are at stake, Professor Ulrich said. Records of human casualties caused by the sinkholes are hard to find, but the sudden appearance of so many in the last decade has alarmed nearby villagers. Quote, we have a reason to be worried, said Erdogan Chuhadar, a lifelong sheep farmer from Buruk Koyu, who translates literally as sinkhole village. If a sinkhole is too big and there are houses around, it will bury everything together. Mr. Akar, the farmer who discovered a sinkhole beside his shed, has had trouble wrapping his head around the sudden silent phenomenon. For those who have made their living from cultivating the land, the sinkholes have shaken what was once certainty of the very ground underfoot. What's more, one destroyed part of the shed Mr. Akar used to house livestock, he has since begun erecting a timber frame for a replacement shed on the other side of his farmhouse. The sinkhole has even driven his children away, no longer interested in work on the farm since the pit appeared. They move elsewhere in pursuit of other careers. It sounds like they were just looking for a reason to leave.
The sinkholes are the reason why they left.
I want to support the family business as much as I can, but I cannot abide these holes in the ground. Meanwhile, Mr. Akar has accepted there's little he can do to prepare in the event that another sinkhole suddenly appears. I can't do anything, he shrugged one hot afternoon in the fields behind his house. We will do the same as we always have. Then we get into it.
Yeah, why is this happening? Can tell us, ABC.
Climate change. and farming are contributing to the sinkhole problem.
Really? Climate change and farming?
Climate change and farming are
two
contributing.
Things. The two scariest things.
The underlying factor for so many new sinkholes in the last decade has been drought, which has become more intense with climate change. Yearly rainfall has waned, leaving crops parched. They seem pretty sure of this for such a mystery. To cope, many farmers have turned to wells that pump water from natural underground reservoirs to irrigate their farmland, which in turn weakens the earth and can lead to sudden collapse. I don't know about that. Lots of people have wells. I have a well. I ain't got no sinkholes. Yeah, but it's not
combined with the drought caused by climate change.
Well, beyond the roughly 35,000 licensed wells in the region, there are about 3 times as many illegally dug. It's hard to know the exact number. On top of that, cattle farming has increased, and water-intensive crops like corn are now grown far more, making agriculture in the region increasingly unsustainable, Professor Arik said. 15 to 20 years ago, corn was not grown around here, but now it's corn everywhere. So corn is causing the sinkholes.
Convenient, too. Pretty big ingredient in food.
Then it kind of goes on saying, because of the drought, they rely on the groundwater, and the groundwater is apparently the water has been keeping the earth up. Talks about more wells, more wells. The water draws people in. Our mothers used to come here to wash the wool. This is talking about a little pond thing that they had there. Over the intervening 4 decades, the depth of the lake has plunged to a fraction of what it once was. As he makes his way to the edge of the lake, then it goes into a lake. Climate change killing this lake. Okay, we get it. Like everyone else in this region, Mr. Sudhar cannot fathom what life will look like when the lake runs dry. Okay, so they just keep talking about this lake. We went from sinkholes to lakes. I don't think this is correct. I just don't think it's correct. Look, I'm no sinkhole scientist.
Hey, I was going to say, are you part of the sinkhole department over at the university there?
Apparently, sinkhole scientist is an actual job. But, there's other places in the world that have a bunch of wells digging up the water, and these sinkholes are not happening there, including the Chilean sinkhole.
Yeah.
That thing keeps growing too. And that is by a quarry. That's not even in a farmland that I know of. Now, have you seen what? You don't watch much Amazon Prime, do you? It's called Open Range.
No.
You've seen Open Range?
Never even heard of it.
Yeah, it's kind of, there you go. So Open Range, I started watching it. It's a show about I think it's a ranch in Wyoming or somewhere like that. And a really, really big ranch, like thousands of acres or something. And this cattle rancher, finds a giant sinkhole on his property. And it sounds like the size of like the Chilean sinkhole, and it's perfectly round. And I'm only a few episodes in, but long story short, it's aliens. There's something. There's aliens or something making these sinkholes, or this sinkhole on his property. Yeah. And, you go in the sinkhole and you can travel time and things like that. We're going to talk about UFOs at the end of the show. But there are a lot of things going on in the UFO world, even declassifications that the normal person who just gets their UFO stuff from mainstream media or whatever, the congressional hearings, things like this, wouldn't know about. There is an enormous amount of UFO activity going on right now. And Congress is actually doing a pretty good job of creating an atmosphere where declassification might actually happen.
Yeah.
Now, I think aliens are making the sinkholes. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Something is making the perfect roundness. Like, why would it be perfectly round?
Here's a theory, okay? The aliens used to have the crop circle making technology. They hand it off to Dark Brandon, and Dark Brandon is just, he's like, he doesn't know what he's doing.
He turns up the power a little too high.
A little too high, and instead of a beautiful design,
circle in a cornfield, he cranks it up and burns a hole through the earth.
Hey, anything's possible.
Yeah.
I am reminded, Revelation 12 here talks about from verse 15, then from the mouth of the serpent spewed water like a river to overtake the woman and sweep her away in a torrent. But the earth helped the woman and opened its mouth to swallow up the river that had poured from the dragon's mouth. Kind of sounds like a sinkhole helping out the woman there who's being chased by the dragon.
To me, man.
So this Turkey land here, Holy Land.
Yeah. Good joke.
Good dad joke.
Good joke. What is up with these sinkholes? And it's happening all around the world, too.
Yeah, it's been an ongoing thing, but it is interesting to see it come up again. And just, it just in general, as a theme, I've noticed that sort of UFO adjacent topics are really hitting the mainstream. We didn't bring it here, but Tucker Carlson just did an interview about the cattle mutilation. It's all going mainstream with Tucker Carlson talking about it. That's like stuff that, the Marzulis and stuff are talking about for 20 years and other UFO researchers. So it is interesting that the culturally everyone's picking up on all these topics, the UFO adjacent topics. But this is fascinating because they don't mention, they're not coming at it from that angle. They're coming at it from an academic angle and providing potential reasons for this. And of course, blame farmers, blame climate change, which is right in line with their whole messaging. So not surprising whatsoever.
Well, and I love that climate change is the reason. Yeah. Because it's like, I don't know, what are these things? What are these holes coming from? I think the aliens are blasting holes in the earth. Yeah. Just call it climate change. Climate change has done all the other stuff. We could just add this. What's adding one more list of disasters?
DM in the chat. Kevin Bacon. Tremors. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah, it is Tremors.
Yeah, those big worms under the ground. If you can't touch the sand, or it'll get you. It'll know you're there.
Well, even in the sort of declassification, the new UFO hunting department in the government, the all medium. What is it? Transmedium, all domain UFO
What was the name of the? Yeah, we had transmedium crafts or capable crafts, which was supposed to be it can travel between space, airspace, and underwater.
Well, if it's truly transmedium, maybe it can go under the ground too.
Yeah, well, maybe some of the robot technology we covered in the Flippy update today was part of the slow disclosure.
A bunch of nanobots in a trench coat that calls itself Elon Musk is just going digging around in Turkey and Chile.
Yeah, it's just a slow disclosure of all the things, including the DUMBs, the deep underground military bases. Maybe they're really building it out. The population of the deep underground military base is getting a little big. We got to pull resources from above the ground, and so climate change and farmers go down.
Yeah, what a convenient. It's so great reset-y too.
It is
blaming it on climate change and farmers.
Right, it's perfect.
Why are there sinkholes? Because of farmers. We need to move all food production to our lab-grown soy protein factory or whatever.
And we need it to be in space because obviously on the ground it'll just sink.
Sure.